Two astrologers can read the same birth chart and leave the client with two completely different experiences. One astrologer helps the client understand their patterns, recognize their choices, and move forward with greater clarity. The other makes frightening predictions, creates confusion, and leaves the client feeling that something terrible is waiting to happen. Both may have studied astrology, both may know how to read a chart, but are both good astrologers. Hi, I am Rachel, and welcome to the Astrology Classroom, where learning Vedic astrology is made visual, practical, and beginner-friendly. In today's lesson, we are going to look at 6 different types of astrologers, what motivates them, and the strengths and risks associated with each approach. My purpose is not to criticize or judge other astrologers. It is to help you reflect on why you are learning astrology and what kind of astrologer you want to become in the future. This is not a one-size-fits-all. You may recognize yourself in more than one category, and your approach may change as your knowledge and experience develop. But I want you to remember today's important lesson. As you continue to learn and grow in astrology, regularly ask yourself, what type of astrologer am I becoming? The first type is the curious explorer, who is fascinated by astrology and wants to know more. They usually begin by studying their own birth chart. They may then look at the charts of family members, friends, or public figures. They want answers to questions such as, why do I behave this way? Why do certain experiences keep repeating? Why did this event happen during this particular period? What does my chart say about my personality, career, or relationships? Curiosity is where many astrologers begin. It creates the desire to explore, investigate, and learn. There is nothing wrong with this stage. In fact, curiosity is necessary if you want to remain interested long enough to understand astrology properly. The problem begins when curiosity is mistaken for competence. The beginner recognizes a few placements, makes 1 or 2 accurate observations, and suddenly feels ready to advise other people. They may see Saturn in the 7th house and immediately predict a delayed marriage. They may see a debilitated planet and assume that every subject connected to it will fail. At this stage, the person may recognize individual ingredients, but they do not yet understand the complete recipe. Finding one accurate placement does not mean that we are ready to interpret an entire life situation. The curious explorer must therefore continue learning without rushing to become an authority. The second type of astrologer is the knowledge collector. This person wants to understand astrology very deeply. They read many books, attend different courses, watch videos, and study different techniques. They learn everything about astrology and experiment several predictive systems. Their motivation is knowledge and mastery. This is valuable because astrology requires serious study. However, the knowledge-collecting astrologer has a problem. They are like a dictionary where all the words have meaning but not synthesized into one coherent sentence. They may know a great deal but still struggle when a birth chart is placed in front of them. They see so many combinations that they do not know where to begin, which factors are important, or how everything connects. They may give the client a long list of placements without answering the actual question. For example, you are struggling because your moon is in this sign and Saturn aspects it and is further conjunct Rahu. All of those observations may be technically correct, but what do they mean when brought together? How do they answer the client's question? What is the primary pattern? What may manifest in practical terms? Knowledge collection and chart interpretation are not the same skill. A good astrologer must learn how to select, connect, and prioritize information. Otherwise, the client receives many astrological facts but very little useful understanding. The third type is the fixed rules astrologer. This astrologer relies heavily on memorized rules and fixed combinations. The 8th lord in the ascendant means suffering. A debilitated planet always produces negative results. This particular yoga guarantees wealth. The fixed rules astrologer wants astrology to feel clear, certain, and manageable. This approach does have a strength. Beginners need rules, structures, and frameworks. Without them, chart analysis can quickly become confusing and inconsistent. However, a rule is only the beginning of an assessment. The same placement will not manifest identically in every chart. We must examine the strength of the planets and houses, consider supporting or contradictory factors, cross-check the pattern through different approaches, and ask the client questions to understand the context. The difficulty is that the fixed rules astrologer is often inflexible. Once a rule is identified, it is treated as the final answer. This one-size-fits-all approach can make astrology feel impersonal and irrelevant to the client's actual experience. It can also leave the client feeling helpless, as though a single placement has already determined the outcome and they have no ability to respond differently. Every natal chart is different, and every client has a different story. At this stage, don't jump into making predictions based only on individual rules. First, establish the complete pattern. Rules identify possibilities. The full chart tells us how strongly those possibilities are likely to operate, what may modify them, and whether the person has the capacity to respond differently. The fourth type is the Intuitive Astrologer. This astrologer relies heavily on feelings, impressions, or messages that arise while looking at the chart. They may genuinely feel that they are receiving intuitions about the client. Intuition can sometimes support an interpretation. It may draw our attention to a detail or help us recognize the emotional theme behind several placements. However, intuition should support chart analysis, not replace it. A responsible astrologer should be able to explain how they reached a conclusion, which planet produced the interpretation, which house is connected to the subject, what aspects or conjunctions support it. Does the current dasha activate the pattern? Is the chart showing a strong probability or merely a possibility? Without this foundation, we cannot easily separate intuition from personal opinion, assumption, or projection. An astrologer may feel strongly about something and still be wrong. The chart must remain the anchor. If your interpretation cannot be supported by the chart, present it as a personal impression, not as an astrological conclusion. The fifth type is the Commercial Astrologer. This person sees astrology as a career or business. Let me make something very clear. There is nothing unethical about earning money from astrology. A responsible astrologer invests time in education, preparation, consultation, and continued practice. It is reasonable to charge fairly for that work. Being passionate about astrology and earning an income from it can exist together. The problem begins when earning money becomes more important than the client's welfare. This may manifest as making dramatic predictions to appear powerful, exaggerating certainty, promising guaranteed results, or creating fear so that the client keeps returning. Some may insist that the client needs an expensive remedy. Others may tell clients only what they want to hear because they want positive reviews and repeat business. Some learn just enough terminology to sound convincing, but do not possess the knowledge required to analyze the chart responsibly. This is what gives astrology a bad name. The problem is not that money is involved. The problem is that the client's fear, hope, or vulnerability is being used to generate money. A professional astrologer may charge for a consultation. An exploitative astrologer creates dependence. The client should not leave believing that they cannot make a decision without consulting the astrologer again. The sixth type is the Ethical Astrologer. What defines them is not their role or how much they earn, but the principles that guide their work. They follow a clear code of conduct. This may include protecting the client's privacy, communicating honestly, avoiding frightening or absolute predictions, and remaining within the limits of their knowledge. They do not exaggerate their abilities, guarantee outcomes, or create dependency by making clients feel unable to make decisions without consulting them. The ethical astrologer studies the complete chart before reaching a conclusion. When information is insufficient, they are comfortable saying, "I cannot determine that conclusively from the chart." They understand that their words can have a lasting psychological effect. Therefore, difficult indications are communicated carefully and constructively. They explain the possible challenge, identify the person's strengths, and offer practical guidance without removing hope or personal agency. They also respect appropriate boundaries. They do not diagnose medical conditions, provide legal or financial instructions beyond their qualifications, or make serious claims about death, disaster, infidelity, or other people's private intentions. When necessary, they encourage the client to seek help from an appropriately qualified professional. The ethical astrologer does not tell clients what they must do. They use astrology to help clients recognize patterns, understand timing, and evaluate their choices more clearly. The final decision remains with the client. Ethics does not mean avoiding every difficult subject or telling clients only what they want to hear. It means being truthful without being harmful, confident without pretending to know everything, and helpful without creating fear or dependency. This astrologer continues learning, reviews their mistakes, and remains open to other interpretations. They understand that technical knowledge alone does not make someone a good astrologer. Knowledge must be supported by judgment, compassion, responsibility, and humility. In practical terms, the ethical astrologer asks, is what I am saying supported by the chart? Is it necessary? Is it helpful? And am I communicating it in a way that respects the client's well-being and freedom of choice? This is the astrologer I encourage every student to work towards becoming. Let's summarize what we have found. A good astrologer needs 5 essential qualities. The first is knowledge. You must understand the principles you are applying. Intuition and confidence cannot compensate for weak foundations. The second is synthesis. You must be able to connect the planets, houses, signs, aspects, and time cycles into one coherent assessment. The third is discernment. Not every placement carries equal importance for every question. You must identify what is central and what is merely supporting information. The fourth is communication. A technically accurate interpretation can still be harmful if it is communicated carelessly. Clients may remember your words for years. A frightening statement can affect their relationships, career decisions, health anxiety, and overall peace of mind. The fifth quality is ethics. Ethics is not an additional topic that we study after learning astrology. It must be present in every interpretation we give. Before saying something to a client, ask yourself, is this conclusion genuinely supported by the chart? Am I presenting a possibility as though it were a certainty? Will this information help the client understand the situation, or will it only create fear? Am I answering within my level of knowledge? Am I leaving the client with greater awareness and choice? Now take a moment to think about why you are learning astrology. Are you learning because you are curious about yourself? Do you enjoy collecting knowledge? Do you want to become a professional astrologer? Do you want recognition for making accurate predictions? Do you want to help people understand their lives more clearly? There is no need to pretend that money, recognition, or personal interests do not matter. What matters is whether these motivations begin to control the way you interpret the chart and treat the client. You can be knowledgeable and still communicate irresponsibly. You can be intuitive and still misunderstand what you sense. You can earn well and still practice ethically. You can also be a beginner and already begin developing responsible habits. A good astrologer is not the person who makes the most dramatic prediction, uses the most complicated terminology, or claims to know everything about the client's future. A good astrologer is someone who interprets the chart carefully, explains what it shows, acknowledges what it cannot confirm, and helps the client respond more consciously. You do not become a good astrologer simply by completing a course or correctly predicting one event. You become one through knowledge, research, practice, discernment, and the way you use what you know. Learn deeply, analyze carefully, communicate responsibly, and always aim to leave the client with greater understanding, not greater fear. Now I would like you to reflect and share in the comments. Which type of astrologer do you recognize yourself in today, and what kind of astrologer do you want to become? Thank you for staying with me through today's lesson. Subscribe for more practical lessons on applied Vedic astrology for beginners. If you would like to learn Vedic astrology through a clear, step-by-step framework, you can find my Applied Vedic Astrology for Beginners course in the description below. See you in the next lesson.